Hi, and welcome back to another edition of OFallon Life on Air. Today we're joined by two fraud and cybersecurity experts who are certified in both of these fields. And we're here to talk about what you can do as a resident of OFallon to not only keep yourself safe, your family safe, but also what to do in case you are a victim of that. I'm joined today with Jason Adams, the IT director here for the Save OFallon, and also Tom Kerns. Tom is a former law enforcement officer here in O'Fallon, then went to the federal and became a fraud investigator for the Postal Service, on the federal side, and now as an fraud investigator for Enterprise Bank and Trust. So both of you gentlemen, a month or two ago, did a presentation at the O'Fallon Senior Center on this topic, on scams, fraud, both prevention and what to do if you are a victim, and you've agreed to come in to basically redo that presentation here on the podcast. For those that were not able to be at the seminar, they can get that information now on the podcast and on demand. So again, thank you guys for being here. Welcome you guys here. So Jason, we'll start with you. Tell us what some of the new scams that we're seeing right now in the world.
We're seeing a lot, and we're seeing old scams get reinvented and just get made into newer, more upscale versions. We're still seeing the old style email scams where someone will send you an email saying, hey, I'm this guy, I'd love to have you invest in my company, and they want you to reply back. But we're also seeing something called smishing, where you'll get a text-based message, typically from someone posing to pretending to be someone collecting toll money. I think a lot of people that are listening to this podcast probably have received that text message.
Right.
You click on the link and you're kind of duped into paying a toll that you never used. A big one that has been doing the rounds, and Tom and I spent some time during the seminar mentioning it, are these romance-based scams, which in the law enforcement world is called pig butchering, where effectively you get a message out of the blue and it says something like, hey, John, it's James. Sorry for missing our meeting. And us being humans, we're interested in continuing the conversation and not seeming rude. You'll reply back saying, sorry, you have the wrong number. And they go, oh, my bad. And this conversation ensues. And the more and more in depth the conversation goes, the more it kind of skews towards, hey, have you ever considered investing in Bitcoin? I'd love to help you out. Or I'm going through some tough financial problems right now. Is there any way that you can help me out? And that unfortunately does do a number on a lot of our citizens, specifically some of our elderly residents.
So what's the best thing to do if you do get one of those texts or emails like that?
The best thing that you can do is educate yourself first to know what to be on the lookout for. So the two big things are things that pull on your heartstrings, something like, I really need the money right now, and also urgency. I need you to click on this link now. If it's over email, bad grammar used to be a dead giveaway, and in some ways it still is, but with ChatGPT and Gemini and Copilot, it lets the criminals make better scam messages that can kind of dupe you up. So educating yourself on what to look out for, and then ignoring it. Don't even bother replying back to them saying, sorry, I'm not falling for this, because they'll just know that it's a live number and they might pass that information on to someone else. So just ignore it. If you have gotten too far into it and you may have given some bank information or some personal information like a social security number or things like that, the best thing to do is to go to the O'Fallon Police Department, speak to a police officer or detective, have them open up a case. In a lot of cases where you've already given money, if you're quick, the local law enforcement can work with the wider partners at the state and federal level and can attempt to get that money back. But once it's left the country, it's near off impossible to get that money back.
So you mentioned a couple of things I want to circle back, but the first one just now, you talk about working with federal agencies and at the national level, leaving the country. Is it not local? So these texts that you get from a local phone number or an email, what are the odds or what are the propensity for that being here in even Missouri or the United States? Is it?
So when you receive a text message that has any area code, so in our area it's going to be 314 or 636, the chances that it's actually coming from that number is very, very low. More than likely what this organization or person is doing something called spoofing the number, where they use a computer program to masquerade coming from an internet-based system. So it looks like you're replying to a local number, but really you're replying to someone overseas. And in your experience, wouldn't you say that the majority of cases that is where the scams are coming from, which is overseas?
Yes, especially in the Asian corridor. There's a lot of fraud developing out of the Asian corridor where they actually have human trafficking involved. They've got compounds set up where people are committing the fraud, sending out those text messages to people. And that's where a lot of times they'll instruct you on how to send the money, whether it's through Bitcoin or wires. But the best thing that the people can do is educate themselves to prevent it from happening to begin with, right? And then the second thing is if they did fall victim, it's really urgent that they report it immediately. The sooner that law enforcement knows about it, the sooner that their bank knows about it, the better the opportunity of getting that money back for them. Any delay is really difficult. If they send a wire, contact the bank, do a wire recall to make sure that that wire can come back to them, but report it to the police. You can also go to ic3.gov and report it to the FBI, and that will get the ball rolling.
And the added incentive of doing that is that by persistent reporting, you might be assisting in eliminating human trafficking, because the more information that these federal and international law enforcement partners can gather, they can find where these victims are being kept. We've both seen pictures of these like cabinets almost of just rows and rows of cell phones that for 12 hours a day, these people that have been trafficked are just going from phone to phone, text messaging different people, hoping to get a bite. So by reporting that scam, which is coming from someone that's been effectively kidnapped and held against their will, you might be assisting in helping them get located and freed.
Okay, that's great information. And you talked about earlier about the scams have evolved, but they're very similar to what they were 20 years ago. The emails we would get that, oh, I have $30,000 I need to get it to the United States. If you send me $5,000, I'll give you the rest of it, that kind of thing. Do we still see that, or has that evolved into one of these new systems?
No, you will still see that part of it, especially in the romance scams, because they're trying to build their trust with the individual that is involved. So as part of that goes, they may say, hey, I'm in Afghanistan, right? Or I may be on an oil rig. I can't get to my bank account. I'm going to send you, I need you to cash a check for me, and then I need you to send the money to somebody else. You can send it through a FedEx box, a UPS box, or wire it. Many different forms of transportation, the money to them, right? And they developed that trust, and that's why they call it a lot of times pig butchering. It came from an old analogy of building that trust, kind of keep it building, fatten them up a little bit, and then you're going to take everything away from them, okay? And so once they build that trust with them, and then they start out small. I need $10,000. Can you help me out? And then it starts to evolve even bigger. They get a lot of information from the victim. They send that money, okay? So that is still going on, and that's still the same way as it was before. The difference that you have now is you have the deep fake technology, you have AI, you got a lot of other, like computer technology just keeps developing better and better and better.
Right.
So they can use that to their advantage to make these falsehoods seem to be true.
So when we talk about you get emails and there's links in that email, a lot of times these emails look legitimate, right? An email from Amazon or from Google has the logo and all that kind of stuff. And there's a link in there. Okay, click here to whatever. How can residents determine if that link, what are the signs, right? For A, the email is legit, and then should I click on this link?
So the first bit of advice that we would give anyone is don't act until you've checked. So people are very quick they see an email, oh, my account's been compromised, I need to take action straight away. Take a second, take a breath, read through the email. So start at the top, have a look at who the email is from. In most cases, you'll find that it's from something at gmail.com. It could also be from a domain that's been created that looks similar to Amazon. So it could be spelled AMAZ0N as opposed to just the letters. In other times, depending on the software, it might actually say no reply at Amazon.com. So you move down the list, look for grammatical errors, look for anything that's urgent. You must do this now. And then with your mouse or trackpad, hover over the link and see what the website address it wants to take you to is. If it's not Amazon.com and it starts with something else, delete the email, forget about it. Your account's fine. If you want to be extra cautious, maybe call up your bank and just make sure everything's okay. But if the link is anything but Amazon.com, in most cases, it's a scam.
Okay. And just by clicking on that, without even putting anything else into like your credit card information in there, you could be downloading a virus or something that could infiltrate your computer, right?
That's correct.
All right. What about QR codes? Right, got kind of popular 5-6 years ago, and then with COVID became even more user friendly with the touch free kind of thing. Is there susceptibility to QR codes that are out in public?
What I've heard of is, especially with parking meters, that you can pay for your parking on the street by paying with a QR code, is that there'll be criminals that will take illegal QR codes and stick it over the location where you expect to see it. And really, it just takes the extra breath. It sounds really cynical, and because it kind of is, but trust nothing until you verify it. So when you go up to use a QR code, you scan it, look at the website that it's taking you to. If it's not the website that it should be and you've checked the address bar, ignore it, kind of feel around along the QR code to see if it's a sticker that you can peel off. And it's the same kind of advice that we've been given about credit card skimmers, that whenever you pay at a gas pump, you always want to kind of tug a little bit on the bit where you put your credit card, because someone could have slipped over a thin piece of material that skims your card as you insert it.
Okay. And Tom, so are you guys always playing catch up as an investigator? Somebody that's investigating, not prevention, but investigating somebody that's been duped into a cyber attack. Are you always playing catch up with the latest trend, the latest scam? How does that work?
Oh, absolutely. As like we talked about technology, how it's evolved. The way that people did scams 10, 15 years ago, 5 years ago is a little bit different than they do it today, right? Because technology has helped evolve them to be able to dupe people. Excuse me. So for us, we have to always kind of try to be one step ahead of the criminal, if you will. So we're constantly trying to learn what the trends are for coming up. So like for 2026, what kind of trends do we see as far as for fraud that will be perpetrated upon our communities, right? So you have AI, which is really coming forward. You have the deep fakes, okay, where they can pretend to be you and call a family member to say, hey, I need help, kind of like a grandparent scam or whatever. The pig butchering, like we talked about already. So, and then you also have like the payment fraud, right, where you have the credit card or debit card that's been compromised. You don't even know it, but somebody else is using your card somewhere else in the country. Okay, so it's really a matter of trying to educate ourselves better and finding the trends, so that way we can educate the public to help them prevent the fraud.
Sure. So prevention and education really goes a long way.
Yep.
So on the city side, would you agree with that, Jason? As far as not so much investigation, but prevention. I mean, what we're doing here is really the crux of keeping this out of the city and out of any organization.
Right. As I've joked a few times to different people in the city, even though we have an IT department, it feels like we have a cybersecurity department that also offers IT services, because of the amount of time that we're spending making sure that we don't get hit. Tom kind of hit on it, but the criminals can be wrong 99 times and be right once. We can't afford to be wrong once, because that's when we get hit. So a lot of education goes into our staff members. We send out cybersecurity training on a regular basis. We do phishing tests. Everyone hates it, but it's one of those things that we have to educate people what to look out for. And I'd much rather they click on a scam that we have fabricated which then takes them to a training module for them to learn what to look out for in the future. But we have lots of other safeguards in place that protect not only the city equipment, the city network, but our residents' data. It's just a case of that we need to constantly be learning about what's out there, always staying one step ahead, like Tom said, and just making good use of our local, state, and federal partners, and that there's a two-way communication going, that we let them know, as well as our other municipal neighbors know what we're seeing, and then they do the same thing and share back with us with what they're noticing, so we can take action to prevent anything from happening to O'Fallon.
All right, so that made me think of something. Before the holidays end of last year, the city of O'Fallon was involved in one of our vendors, Code Red, who the city uses for mass notification. So if there's a street closure or something like that, we're able to send out information. It's not a city-run program.
Correct.
We don't retain that information. It's a third party. Can you explain what a third party hosted platform is and why that's so beneficial?
Right. So probably back in the 90s and before, it was the norm that companies would have their own servers on site called an on-prem environment. So all the data was held within a company. And then all these third-party companies kind of sprung up and said, hey, we offer this service. You log into our website or our cloud, and all of your information and all of your business is done through us. It's not anything that's done at the local level, something at O'Fallon. The benefit of using a third party is if something goes wrong, the local business, we'll use business as an analogy, may not have the knowledge or the skill set to respond to that situation. They know that they are unable to take payments, but the third party that could be affected is the one that has the knowledgeable, experienced people that can take care of that issue, while the customer, in this case the shopkeeper or us as the Code Red customer, can concentrate on communicating with the public and explaining what's going on.
Okay. And Tom, real quick, what can residents do to assist in a successful investigation? So let's say they get duped and they're a victim of this. What can they do on that end to help out?
They need to report it right away. Don't be embarrassed. It happens. I mean, it's like 1 in 4 of people globally become a victim of fraud that lose money. Okay, they're in the same boat as a lot of people. Don't be embarrassed by it. Report it to the local authorities. Report it to your bank. Report it to. You can go to FTC. You can go to the credit bureaus and let them know that you've been a victim of fraud to try to stop a lot of it. But reporting it immediately. The sooner that it gets to law enforcement and to your banks, the better the opportunity for us to recover funds for you. Okay? If you let it go, because time is really of the essence, right? That wire or that money that goes out, once it leaves the hands of the bank or it leaves the hands of, like in a wire, it goes somewhere else to Hong Kong or somewhere else. Trying to get that money back is very difficult. But if you let time go by, the chances really dwindle. So the sooner you know that you're duped, then you need to really report it.
Do residents need to do anything during the investigation?
They need to keep whatever records that they have to show how they were duped, whether it be emails, text messages, the phone numbers, whatever. If they go to a Bitcoin machine and put money into a Bitcoin machine, save the receipts, provide that to law enforcement. I would ask them to go to consumersentinel.gov, ic3.gov, and report it on those sites. The ic3.gov is an FBI site to where you report the computer crimes or any other type of financial loss, to where that can be looked at immediately. Okay. But keeping all the receipts, keeping any pictures that may be sent, even if they're on a dating website per se, like in a romance scam, keep whatever information, because all of that may be evidence to where a suspect can be identified.
All right. I'm assuming blackmail is
Extortion?
big, tool that they're using.
Yeah.
Anything on that as far as just report it?
Impersonating law enforcement, right? A big extortion. I'm with the IRS. You owe us money. If you don't pay right away, we're going to send a warrant out for you. I got police heading your direction now. Get me gift cards. Mm-hmm. That's not how you pay your taxes.
Sure.
Right? I mean, there's a lot of red flags that happen, but because they're really, using that tool and they're using the intimidation and fear factor, people, become scared and they kind of lose their senses, if you will, to realize that this is a fraud, okay, with that fear factor. So take a deep breath before you do anything, right? Stop and think and say, you know what? The IRS doesn't operate this way. The FBI doesn't operate this way. They may even say, hey, we're sending you a text or an email on it, and they'll show a background of like maybe an FBI logo, their seal or something. Mm-hmm. And that's not them. That's not how they operate. So if in doubt, verify it by either calling somebody up, calling a friend, calling a family member, calling the law enforcement agency like IRS. Hey, I paid my taxes. I've always been diligent in doing those things. So I don't know why you're coming after me. It's a scam. They know it. You even go to their website. A lot of times it'll have on their website what type of scams they're seeing with the IRS or law enforcement in general, right? I know like the City of O'Fallon, I've seen it before where somebody came out and said, if you receive a text saying that donate to the O'Fallon Police Officer Association, that is fraud. Do not do it. Mm-hmm. Okay? So a lot of that helps to prevent that type of fraud. But it's really getting the people to understand, like, if you didn't ask for it, if you didn't go to the website, if you didn't verify it, don't send the money.
And to piggyback off what Tom said, the scam artists are very clever in knowing that if they say to you, hey, you owe us tax revenue or your tax refund bounced or whatever, we need your money, go get gift cards, and they hang up the phone and say, call me back when you're done. Halfway to Walgreens, you're going to go, wait a minute, that makes no sense. So in most cases, they'll keep you on the phone. They will not let you hang up. And I said, no, where are you now? How far away are you from the Walgreens store? And the best thing to do is hang up, like Tom said, and call back on a reputable number. Because if, lo and behold, you did hang up on an IRS officer, they're going to call you back. They're going to write you or whatever. But they're very good at keeping you on the phone to make sure that you're staying engaged and not thinking clearly that why is the IRS asking me to buy a Google Play card, a gift card?
I think there's always the stories too. Like, right, banks will tell you we will not call and ask for your information. Right? I think we have it. We don't need it. We're not going to call you. But the confusion and the fear, you get a lot of these phone calls at 2 or 3 in the morning. You wake up to a call. Hey, this is your bank. You've been, a scam. We need your account number so we can get it rectified, get you a new number, and you give it to them. And then when your senses come around, you're like, I probably shouldn't have done that. Right. So don't be embarrassed. Don't be embarrassed. Report it and move on.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, especially in the elder. I mean, we talked about this like in the elder financial exploitation seminar. 1 in 41 report elder fraud. So you think about the number of people who don't report it, that there's actual fraud. It's amazing. Sure. Right? And a lot of it is because of that embarrassment or they're afraid they're going to lose their independence and stuff. Take that away from it and report it so that way you are a victim, but we want to be able to help you out the best way that we can.
Yeah, the scammers are probably like, hey, nobody's going to report it anyway. So if I get
And we're really lucky and blessed that we have a very caring and understanding police department in the city that have seen this before. And like Tom said, if you're embarrassed, those officers are there just to help you. They're not going to make things worse. They want to get the information from you and help you to rectify it.
Good point. Very good point, Jason. Tom, Jason, anything else that I have not asked that you want to get out to the residents, to our viewing public, that could help them?
Yes. Prevention is really the key, right, to preventing fraud and not to be a victim. So like it always says, if it seems too good to be true, it is. Mm-hmm. If you win the lottery, you're not going to have to pay somebody to get your money.
Sure.
Okay. There's a lot of red flags in the emails. Really look at them. Look at your text messages. If you haven't been in Illinois or in the Chicago area, you don't owe them a toe. Okay. So just don't respond. Really kind of look at it deeper instead of automatically responding right away.
And the two things that I would add would be, one, like Tom mentioned, deepfake and AI is really picking up steam. And in some cases, all it can take is 10, 20 seconds of recording someone's voice to mimic them. So if you get a call in the middle of the night from your daughter and she's saying, Grandma, I'm in jail, I need help, the best thing to do ahead of time is to establish a code word. So if Grandma says, all right, I'm ready to help, what's the code word? If it's a fake and they don't know it, everything's fine. You can hang up and you can call your real relative's number and make sure they're okay.
All right.
The other thing that I would bear in mind, and we don't try and scare people, but we kind of need to scare people just a little bit, is if we had sat down with you a year ago, we wouldn't have mentioned half of what we discussed today. So I would always encourage our residents to be aware of what is currently going on by Googling current scams, using ChatGPT, what kind of scams are out there. But don't get complicit. Always make sure that you're educating yourself about what's happening now, because in a year's time, who knows what AI is going to be doing that's going to be filling the criminals' pockets.
Right. Well, first, I like what you did there. You got yourself penciled in for next year. So
I'm sorry, my ChatGPT said I'm full that day.
So that's a good point. So this is not a one and done conversation. This is not a one and done training. This is a continually keep up with what's going on.
Yeah, so you are your own cybersecurity task force. You have to educate yourself to stay on top of things.
And be your own advocate.
Yep. Correct.
All right. Tom Kerns, Jason Adams, again, thank you guys both for being here and going through this, what you went through in a seminar. Now we can have it live out there on the podcast. So, and also we want to thank you, our viewers and our listeners, for tuning into the special cybersecurity and fraud podcast. And be sure to click like and subscribe on however you're viewing this on YouTube or Spotify, and tune in for the next one. Until then, thank you.